Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Those words were spoken by the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on August 28, 1963. Exactly 1 week from today, on the 48th anniversary of that speech, America honors the man behind it. An event, as Rita Braver now tells us, literally set in stone.
It's been 27 years in the making. "27 years since a memorial to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was envisioned. The first major memorial ever built on Washington's National Mall, dedicated to a man who was not a president."
You are directly across the way from the Jefferson.
Looking right at the Jefferson.
And Lincoln is
directly behind us.
And the Washington Monument?
Over to our left.
Harry Johnson, president and CEO of the Memorial Foundation, says it's not about what job King had, but about his place in history.
For this is not a struggle for ourselves alone. It is a struggle to save the soul of America.
And here's a man who stood for some lofty goals and actually changed America. That's why we built this memorial.
Johnson and others who led the drive to get the memorial built belong to Alpha Phi Alpha, the fraternity King joined while a graduate student at Boston University.
The fraternity helped actually bail him out of jail once or twice.
Getting the memorial built was a struggle in keeping with Martin Luther King's own story. The project had to be approved by Congress, and supporters wanted it built close to the mall, where King led 250,000 people in the historic 1963 Civil Rights March.
Brothers, I have a dream today.
But space on the mall is in high demand, and it took a battle with the commission that decides where monuments can be built in Washington to secure this 4-acre site near the tidal basin.
We persevered and actually had to come to them, as you have to do, and say, here's why it could be done, here's where it could be done, and here's how it should be done.
In 1999, a design competition for the memorial was announced.
900 entries from 52 different countries, and then we had an international jury pool to decide which would be the winning solution.
The prize went to the Roma Design Group from San Francisco. The design, a park setting with a major sculpture work in 3 sections. The first 2 looking like a mountain that has split apart, echoing a line from King's "I Have a Dream" speech.
With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
And the third section is the Stone of Hope, a statue of King himself, 28 feet tall. The man chosen to create all 3 pieces is Lei Yixing. He holds the title of Master Sculptor in his native China, where he did most of the work with a team of helpers. The works were then shipped to the U.S. in 159 pieces and reassembled, more than 1,700 tons of granite in all. Lei says he tried to present King as an unyielding man of courage who fought to give people power. Dr. King belongs to the world, Lei says. He's a worldwide hero, and his spirit is universal. But like so much of King's life, this sculpture has been a source of controversy, with some critics charging the work makes him look too stern, though it's based on the cover photo on King's autobiography. There's also some resentment that the job went to a sculptor from China.
What do you say to those who say it should have gone to an American and preferably an African American?
I say simply that Dr. King talked about how you should judge a person. He said in his own words, we should not judge a person by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character.
In fact, though King is best known for his crusade to bring equality to African Americans, the panel of historians that chose the quotations used on the memorial sculptures and 450-foot granite wall deliberately selected words that apply to all people.
I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Nick Benson, a third-generation stone carver and calligrapher, supervised this part of the project.
I think they're some of the finest words I'll ever carve.
A winner of the MacArthur so-called Genius Grant for his craftsmanship, Benson created a new lettering style, a font he calls the King.
And it really, really had to be a bold, bold character to carry in this large, large monumental scale.
The mood here is one of serenity.
We've added another 165 cherry blossom trees to this site, so people from all over will come and see them bloom, typically the week Dr. King was assassinated. But other symbolisms as well. Our address, 1964 Independence Avenue. That's a year that President Johnson, of course, signed the civil rights legislation with Dr. King standing over his right shoulder.
Wow. Was that a coincidence, or did you ask for that?
It just kind of worked out that way.
Paying for all of this was another challenge. While the government donated the land, the foundation had to raise most of the money to build the memorial privately, $120 million. In yet another controversial move, the King family reportedly charged the MLK Foundation some $800,000 to license King's image and words for use on fundraising materials. Neither the King family nor the foundation will comment on that now. The foundation saying it's time to celebrate Dr. King's life. And it will be a celebration. The dedication is set for next Sunday, August 28th, the 48th anniversary of the March on Washington. The crowd could be even bigger this time.
We're saying 250,000, but the numbers keep growing. We think they can get up to 400,000.
Wow.
We're ready for them. The city of D.C. is ready for them. The country's ready for them. As you see, Martin Luther King's ready for them.
With members of the King family taking part, and President Barack Obama set to speak here, it will be a day to reflect on how far the nation has journeyed since the days of Martin Luther King.
We must come to see that the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its conscience.
A journey that continues even today.
Tens of thousands of people gathered in the nation's capital Sunday morning for the dedication of a memorial to civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. King is the first African American and the first person who was not a U.S. president to be memorialized on the National Mall. King was honored Sunday with speeches from those who fought with him for equality, as well as members of his family. His sister said the memorial was an overwhelming tribute to the slain civil rights leader.
You have ensured that his legacy will provide a source of inspiration for people from all over the world for generations to come.
Members of the King family also said it was appropriate that the memorial was placed on the National Mall, the site of King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech. In remarks during Sunday's ceremony, President Barack Obama said that showed just how significant a role King played in U.S. history.
He will stand for all time among monuments to those who fathered this nation and those who defended it. A black preacher, no official rank or title, who somehow gave voice to our deepest dreams and our most lasting ideals.
And Obama said the ideals the memorial stands for ring just as true today as they did during King's lifetime.
As tough as times may be, I know we will overcome. I know there are better days ahead. I know this because of the man towering over us. I know this because all he and his generation endured. We are here today in a country that dedicated a monument to that legacy.
Free at last! Free at last!